Comprehensive analysis on what is driving this big copper prices. And you spoke about Citi. Goldman Sachs too came out with a report 2 days ago, and they've given a target price on the LME copper price, which has surged past $9,000 today, and they've put a 12-month target price at $10,500 for LME copper. Jonathan Barrett, CIO of Probus Securities, and Amit Dixit of Edelweiss join us on the phone line to dissect the up move, the way from here, both globally as well as for the domestic markets. Jonathan, first to you. Are you getting a sense that this rally is approaching maturity? What is your forecast for the next one year?
Yes, good morning. Look, I think that was a very concise summary from your colleague on what's happening in the copper market, because it does hold a lot of weight that this rally is just about to start. Although we've seen it already there, but it certainly we're way into that discussion of what are the add values to keep this rally moving. And I think one of the big ones we have is that lack of supply into a market that is being stimulated, continually being stimulated. Biden's comments over the weekend about more stimulus. All this requires infrastructure. It's those infrastructure programs which last for some time in a market which is, if forecast to be in a deficit, will keep prices higher. Remember, we are in a backwardation at the moment, and that suggests that prices will remain relatively solid.
And how long do you think the markets will remain in a tight supply situation globally? What is the extent of the tightness or the shortage of supply currently? And what is the forecast?
Yeah, when we look at it, when we look at that supply, this supply shortage could last anywhere up to half a year, 6 months. We look at the backwardation in the market. You can easily look at those September 2011 highs of 10,000, 10,500. If more stimulus continues, you can see it actually pushing through those levels. So yes, the big question we're all asking ourselves, are we in the super cycle? Is this just another kick on? And will prices go even higher than that? So far, the macros are suggesting we can reach those levels and go through them.
Reach those levels and go through them. Gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us, Jonathan and Amit. Prashant here. Amit, your thoughts, I mean, you've been listening in to the copper conversation. What's your own sense? I mean, Jonathan sort of threw in the word super cycle. I mean, should we talk in those terms? What's your overall assessment?
So, talking typically of copper, if you look at it, I agree with your views about the supply being constrained, and two things happening simultaneously. One thing is China, particularly after New Year, is totally relentless in terms of the manufacturing growth. So the data, if you look at the new loans issued, even if you look at home appliances sale or even auto sale, everything is on a fast gear. So demand side, at least from China, I don't think there is a concern in near term. Talking about supply, look at the commentary of both Glencore and Rio Tinto, and you will realize that supply side, both of them are pretty circumspect, because Peru and Chile, the two countries that account for a large amount of copper production, are still battling COVID-19. So clearly supply side support is there. The third dynamics here is the stocks. So if you look at LME stocks, they are quite low, despite Chinese stocks rising in the recent times, but these are very small of the overall proportion. So I would say that fundamentals for copper looks quite interesting, quite solid. In terms of our own stocks that we have, well, they are more tuned to TCRC per se. So we have to be a little bit discerning over here. So this high level of LME price would possibly benefit only Hindustan Copper, incidentally a stock that we don't have under formal coverage. But Hindalco and Vedanta, I don't see any impact, because TCRC margins, typically when supply remains constrained, TCRC margins also remain quite low. So not from that perspective, but Hindalco and Vedanta are rallying because of the general rally in other base metals.
Oh, well, that's an important point, and I think we made that distinction earlier as well. My colleague Nigel was talking about how Indian sort of companies are largely exposed to the refining cycle. So prices going up benefits producers, and that's Hindustan Copper, but I don't think there's any sell-side coverage. As Amit pointed out, they also don't have any coverage there. Amit, in terms of usage, again, something we put out 2 months back, a month and a half back, which is rising raw material prices. What will it do to Copper India's margins? I mean, in terms of just talking about copper, but it's not just copper, right? Aluminum, nickel, zinc, I mean, they're all looking very, very strong. What is your sense? The industries which are the biggest users of copper, and what is the impact likely to be?
See, I don't cover consumer durables particularly. I mean, formally, at least my colleagues cover that. So definitely on cost side, that is going to impact them. Aluminium is going to impact any power generation company. In terms of my coverage, metals and mining, I would say that, it is quite positive for all the non-ferrous guys. So Vedanta being, of course, the base metals conglomerate, you will find the benefits quite a bit over there. In terms of adverse impact, well, the user industry definitely would be impacted in near term. So you can talk about consumer durables, you can talk about power generation, you can talk about autos. Everybody would be impacted, definitely. But this is, not something that is very limited to Indian side. It's all global at the end of the day, particularly on non-ferrous front. So there is no way you can apply any sort of control to it. I mean, this is at the end of the day a global rally, so can't do anything about it. And with Chinese demand remaining strong and expected to remain strong at least for next couple of quarters, I do see that at least for metal stocks there is a bit more way to go.
Amit, India is currently a net importer of copper on the back of the fact that Vedanta's 4 lakh ton copper smelting facility, is shut and it's still, pending resumption. What is the update on that? When should we expect the Vedanta facility to come up on stream?
The matter is still sub judice, so won't like to comment on that. But India was net importer even before, even when Vedanta was operating. Because in India, we don't have a lot of smelting facility. First of all, Hindustan Copper has not been able to expand its mining capacity or even smelting capacity. So India, we had a share of imports quite a bit earlier also. So it's not something very new, but with Vedanta definitely going offboard, the imports have definitely increased.
Okay, Amit, it's a pleasure. Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us with the global perspective there as well. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thanks indeed. So that's basically copper under focus right now. Price is looking extremely strong. Markets have come off. I mean, we're down 115 points now on the Nifty. So 14,866 is where the index is now trading at. I think that's almost the day's lowest point. Let me quickly take a look at where this bulk of this pressure is coming from. So the auto index is down the most. It's down about 1.5%, 10,381. The PSU Bank index is the number 2 loser. It's down about 1.4%. FMCG is down about 1%. And IT is down about 1% as well. So, and of course media, but I mean, this is a small sector in that sense, and just 1 or 2 companies make up the bulk of the weight as far as the media sector is concerned. Metals are the best performing index, and that's our top story. That was our top story there. The metal index is up about 2.75% right now. We'll take our first break here on Trading Hour. We are back. More comes up on the other side.